But I was like, I remember thinking to myself, I was like, next week, this was on like a Thursday night or something. I was like, next week, I'm going to go to this place called Live Oak. It's still in Auburn. And I was like, I'm just going to ask them if I can play for like 2 hours, like during dinner time or whatever, and I'll just do it for free. And if they don't like it, then they can tell me not to come back or whatever. Like, I'll just play. I won't even ask for tips. So I can just do it and they see if they like it or not.
The intersection of good drinks, good music, and good times. This is Hops and Spirits Bar Conversations.
We're back again. That is right. We're back once again with another great episode for you, and we have 2 great interviews for you this week. Chad Watson's back for our tasting notes as he maybe goes on a rant, or maybe I do. You'll just have to stick around and find out. And our conversation is with up-and-coming country singer, songwriter Reid Haughton. It's a great chat as he's got some new music out. You won't want to miss that. Don't forget to check us out on social media at Hop Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, even on YouTube as well. Don't want to miss anything like our neat and mixed reviews, our shorties of those reviews, and so much more. You can get more at hopspirits.com. Like I said, Reid Haughton is our conversation, but up next we talk tasting notes with Chad Watson, and do daily drinkers still exist? Enjoy.
Did you know Hops and Spirits is more than just this podcast? Check out hopspirits.com for our latest episode release, past episodes, interviews with interesting folks in the alcohol industry, and so much more. Just go to hopspirits.com. Feel free to wait until this podcast is done.
Joining us here on Tasting Notes once again, he's better known as MyDailyBourbon on Instagram. He's part of the Bourbon Life crew. Welcome back, Chad Watson.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It has. I mean, Christmas time was technically like the last time we did anything, and that was a lot of fun to see what Santa would drink.
Yeah, it was. And if I recall, there were some topics we went over that that didn't seem to make it out.
And we might be, I don't know, I'm going to plead the fifth on all that. So with our topic this week, Santa might have, the host might have got into all the bottles that Santa got into. That's what happened.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
But with that in mind, I figured we'd revisit some of those topics because I liked your questions, and I want to be a little more coherent when we're talking about them. So, the first one that you brought up, after what would Santa drink is there a daily drinker anymore? And I think that's a pretty thought-provoking thing with today's bourbon.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to, in honor of this topic, this right here was my daily drinker at one point in time, Buffalo Trace. I mean,
and it was for the last month too.
Yeah, oh my God! Well, yeah. We'll circle back to that. Yeah, let's reconvene on that later. It's crazy because me included, there are so many things like that used to be my daily drinker, like Knob Creek 9-year, very old Barton Bonded / Crafted. Whenever that changed, Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, and the 6-year Green Label 90 proof. I mean, there's just so many things like, yeah, that's a daily drinker. Things that I could go to daily without questioning. Because I didn't used to have all this. This wasn't even a thought. I used to have a 2-bottle rule: 1 open, 1 2 open. And then once I got through 1 bottle, I get a second bottle. And at some point in time, I got to the point to where it went from I have a 3-bottle to 10-bottle to 30 to 300, and I feel like a lot of people are getting that way. And I don't know about you, but I like variety, and I feel like more and more people, as they're getting into American whiskey, also like variety. So, yeah, you've got your people who drink their Jim Beam White Label every day. You've got your Evan Williams Black Label. You've got your Ancient Age, your Benchmark, and those kind of products. But those people are, I feel like, a different generation. Mm-hmm. I mean, because of where I work and what I do, I get to know people, and I do know that there are some people who come in, probably about our age, and they do have a daily drinker, but 90% of all the other people want something different every single time. And I asked this question a lot to people: is the daily drinker dead? Like, is that still a thing? And it's a topic that every time I bring up, no one ever seems to know. It's a very weird situation to be in. That 2023, there's more bourbon than you can ask for, and people are still looking for for this. And I mean, this is an infinity blend that I did of everything I drank last month, but people are looking for like that. And if they can't have that, they can't have a daily drinker. And I just think that there's so many more options out there, but I think in the industry part, you know, where the industry is today, like that may not be a thing anymore.
You could be right, and it could be. I was actually thinking about this for one of our other topics that we'll be discussing down the road here on the podcast. But I think it goes with this one, and I liken it to craft beer, maybe, where, you know, when we were in college and stuff, we pretty much had our couple go-tos. Then we got into craft beer, and we went down a wild rabbit hole of all these wild things. And now I still love craft beer, and I still love to dabble in it, but I have gone much more back into Miller Lite and Coors Light and things like that, because I can get a 30-pack for $25, whereas I could get 4 beers for $25, some of the craft brands. And I'm wondering if in some sense our generation's part of the daily drinkers that are gone away, if we haven't done that with bourbon, and we're in the try everything craft beer phase where they're going to throw everything at us.
That's a really good point, because I mean it's weird. I was into beer before I was into bourbon. I was really into barrel aged stouts, and you know, I've got some that are way old, and things like Lexington Brewing, you know, Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale was like a staple. That was like one beer I always kept around, and then as I got more into like saisons and farmhouse ales and, you know, sours and hazy IPAs. I hate standard, like, you know, I hate your bitter piney IPAs. I want my citrusy fruit. I want those juicy notes. But and I did that for a couple years, primarily during the pandemic. I really like took a complete 180 into what beer I liked, because man, I love Miller High Life. Like, I love Miller High Life, and there's nothing wrong with Miller High Life, but I've probably not had one in 4 years, because I've been on like that craft beer journey. Like I've done that journey once before, found out what I liked, and then now it's like re-exploding again. And yeah, I think our generation with bourbon is that, because we have all these brands that are now like expanding, or there's, you know, like Bardstown Bourbon Company, people who they're producing for, there's 60 brands coming out this year just that it's sourcing from Bardstown Bourbon Company. So that's 60 more brands to get to know. And I mean, it is just like craft beer. That was a really good example. Like, I think that's a perfect complement to those lifestyles. But craft beer, I mean, the boom for that was like, damn, 2010. Like, I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like I was in college whenever every town needed to have a brewery, every town needed to have a shitty IPA, and, you know, you had to have like, you know, this town makes the best one, or this, you know, like, and we are coming back, you know, that's coming full circle, especially with craft beer again, but with bourbon, the boom happened 8-10 years ago, and now we see the consequences of that, I guess.
And I'm curious too, because like I said, our generation did that when we were a little younger, and I think a lot of us have moved on to bourbon. Not that we've given up beer at all. I mean, I still love. Hell, I think I drink more varieties of alcohol nowadays with what we do, but you know, but I have expanded my palate, is how I like to look at it.
That is the PR way to put it.
So, but you know, but it really is that way. We're now dabbling in something else, and it's interesting, because I do have a couple like decanters out here that I have like my house bourbon in, and I think one of the ones doesn't even exist anymore, the Earl Setter, which I really loved him.
That stuff is fantastic, and I'm sad it's gone.
You know, so I mean, like that's gone. And then, you know, I think back to when I first moved to Kentucky like 8 years ago, Buffalo Trace, it took up like 4 shelves in a in liquor barn.
You couldn't get rid of it. I mean, and then now I've got this much space on a shelf for it at work when it does come in, and that's my dog, I'm sorry. But when it does come in, and like grown ass men are waiting just to get regular Buffalo Trace. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like, are we going to get to the point where people are waiting for Jim Beam White Label? Like, is that ever going to be a thing? No, it's not going to be a thing, because you know what? There's still options out there. And I think that people become attached to one thing, and then they're always like, I want to find that next. My dog's wild.
I think she wants to make an appearance.
I'm going to mute this and yell at her. I hope that muted, not just yelling to the mic.
It did.
Did it really?
It did. It really did. We'll edit this out, but but I mean, oh no, you're good.
No, I was gonna
Do you
say
need to yell at her again?
No, my girlfriend's in there.
But
that's fun.
But I mean, it really is to the point, though. You wonder about, is there daily drinkers for us? Because I feel like we all dabble so much, and you know, there are some good ones that I'll always go back to and keep on the shelf. Like I really love Chattanooga whiskey, so it'll kind of be there. Maybe some Breckenridge rum cask, things like that. But there's not a ton that I would do that for these days.
No, and Green River is kind of the one for me. Kind of like if you want to bring in like a new age or new brand. I mean, Green River was that last year? Last spring. Man, I feel like I've been talking about it for 5 years already. I mean, I guess that is 5 years in the bourbon world, but that's probably one for me. EJ Curley small batch, but I mean that's a $50 bottle. I mean, like for me, daily drinkers are sub 20, which is where you get into your Heaven Hill bonded products, Wild Turkey 101. But I think that says something about $30 to $50. It is kind of like the new daily drinker range for maybe not our age, but people who are interested in bourbon. They want something different besides J.W. Dant and Evan Williams Black Label.
I mean, I'm right there with you because both of my the Chattanooga's in that 30 to 50, and the rum cask is unfortunately higher than that as it's gone up and they've been bought out. But it's hard to go back to those other ones because I feel like they're just going to sit there for me, and I don't want that either.
Well, and that's same here. Like I had a drink of Rittenhouse Rye. I'm so sorry, my dog is being an asshole. It's always when I want to do something. But I had a drink of Rittenhouse Rye. Yeah. Oh my God, dude! Like anyone out there, if you want a corgi, I mean, this is a PSA. You can leave this in. If you want a corgi, I would advise you want loud sounds and barking all the time, everything chewed up, and to be bit at the ankles. They are sharks. Now back to your regular broadcast. I had a drink of Rittenhouse Rye when the power was out the other night. And it was probably the first time in like a year that I've had Rittenhouse Rye, and I was really just like, "Wow, this is a fantastic rye whiskey." And it used to be sub 20, and then I was like, "What's the most current price on it?" $25 to $30, not bad, but there's cheaper rye whiskeys out there that are just as good, like Old Forester 100 proof rye. So it's kind of hard for me to say, "Yeah, make this your daily rye." But it's gone up. I think I liked it so much because it used to be sub 20, and then now that it's pushing 30 in most places, it's kind of hard to say this should be like your everyday rye. So it's kind of weird that like even $5-10 can really kind of like swap certain products. But I mean, it's just kind of where the market's heading. So $35 to $50 is kind of where my daily drinker realm has landed.
It's wild, and I feel like it might keep going up. We'll see, and we've got some fun topics coming down the pipe. So, folks, stay tuned for our next chat with Chad. And Chad, thanks for ranting with me a little bit.
Hey, thanks for having me to rant with.
Check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hops Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopspirits.com.
Joining us here for our conversation, he's a country artist, songwriter. He's got a couple new songs out now called Day You Don't and She Is. Please welcome in Reid Haughton.
What's up?
And did I say it right?
Yeah, that's right. You killed it.
I was nervous. I felt too confident. And then after I said it, I was like, I'm worried.
Better than most.
Well, that's good. I feel good. So how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How are you doing? It's good to be on here.
I'm good. I've got a drink. I got a little Fry Ranch bourbon out of Nevada. You got anything good tonight?
I actually, these people called Oak and Eden. They sent me a bottle of it's some sort of honey whiskey, and so I'm trying it out. It's good
You
stuff.
liking it?
Oh yeah, it's great. I've never had it. They just I think they found me on Instagram or something. And they sent me a bottle, so I was like, I figured I'd have a drink with you on here tonight.
Perfect. Now, are you typically a bourbon whiskey guy, or what's your favorite kind of maybe drink if you're having one?
It's in the scenario, but I think here lately it's been a lot of Jack and Ginger.
There you go.
I don't know, like whiskey's good on the throat, you know. So like, it feels nice to have a whiskey drink. It feels like it loosens my throat up a little bit. But I'm kind of like whatever, you know. Like I like wine a lot too. I like a lot of red wine.
Well, see, so speaking of that, I'm just getting into that now, which is weird. I was craft beer forever, bourbon lately. We went on a trip to Patagonia down in Argentina recently for my wife and I's like 10th anniversary trip with a couple of friends of ours, and like red wine, Malbec is like their thing. And now all of a sudden, I told my wife the other night I'm feeling a little whiny.
I like it. It's a good relaxing.
It is. It is, it's a whole lot cheaper to split a bottle between you and your significant other than going out and having a couple bourbons or a couple beers.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Now I have to ask you this. You know, if anyone follows him on social media, they probably have seen this video. But so, can your voice just make baby stop crying? Any baby, or just specific ones?
That's what they're saying. And supposedly, I just was home for like a few hours the other day, and supposedly it's gotten even, you know, the reaction from baby Charlie has gotten even more crazy. So I'm ready to get home and make some more videos.
I was gonna say we're gonna have like a part 2, part 3, just a series going.
As she gets older, to see how the reactions change, you know, until the point where she's like 16 and she's like doesn't think it's funny anymore, you know.
Now, can you tell us a little, like, a bit about how that story came to be? Because it's a family friend, right, or something like that.
Like, if I remember right, that was around Christmas time, and we were just all hanging out. Like that's how we are. Like my mom's friends, it's just a huge family affair, basically. But so Sydney is baby Charlie's mom. And she had been playing the song while she was still in her belly, you know, on like a YouTube video or something. So we were like, you know, let's see what she'll do in person. Cause like she always said she would kick around or whatever. And we were like, you know, didn't think much of it, but sure enough, you know, right when I started playing, like it was like, that's you know? So it was crazy, but that was just all kind of like accidental. Like I didn't even know I was being videoed. My girlfriend actually was just like brought out her phone and was videoing and then sent it to me. It was like, yo, you should post this. Like, this is crazy. I didn't think much about it, you know. I just thought, you know, when I was watching it, I did, but I didn't think anybody else would care as much as they did. It was crazy.
I was gonna say, I mean, it went viral. I think it's got 3 million or so views on TikTok. You ended up on the Today Show to talk about it. Like, did you ever expect all that?
No. I mean, the Today Show thing was so crazy too, and like nobody on my team, even like the people who pitched it to get played, like didn't even know it was going to happen until the day of. So super crazy. I like found out from a Facebook comment. I saw some people comment on my Facebook. Just saw you on the news, and I was like, "Oh boy, you know what's or what, you know." But it was good. It was amazing. I mean, it was just like that day didn't even seem real. Like it still doesn't even seem real.
Well, and you do music for a living. That's your day job. It's not just always making babies cry. Although you could probably make a good living off of that too. I would think.
That's right. Maybe. Not anytime soon.
Well, sure. There you go. That's fair. Now, I enjoyed reading something about you when it comes to music, that you didn't really want to be the front man of a band. That was never your goal. Why is that?
Well, not initially, and that was like only for
initially,
period of time. But I mean, like I was just so obsessed with the guitar, like so I wasn't like, you know, I didn't think to myself, oh, I didn't want to sing or be the guy. Like I just wanted to be a guitar player, whatever that looked like, you know. I didn't know anything. Not that I do now, but I just wanted to play guitar, man. I thought it was so cool. I mean, I still have like just an absolute infatuation with, you know, different kinds of guitars and different sounds and whatnot. So it was just an obsession with that, and that's all I cared about at first. And so I started taking lessons at my church, and then he would make us sing. Everybody in the group had to sing like one song per week or something. But he gave us a speech. He was like, "It's not about the singing, it's just about being in time." And so we would just all sing, we just belt it, whatever. Nobody laughing. I mean, we kind of laughing, but nobody like seriously making fun. It was just like cool, It was all about the guitar playing. But then, so I realized going home and playing or whatever that everybody else would rather hear you sing too if you're going to be playing like at a house party or something. So I was like, well. So then I ended up, singing way more than playing guitar. So now, unfortunately, I don't, I'm not as good of a guitar player as I wish I was.
But you still have that love of the guitar now. What do you have a few that are like Old Faithful that always go with you, and are you still putting those in the shows?
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, I have a Gibson that is actually in the shop right now because I cracked it. But my acoustic Gibson J45, it will be always with me for sure. And then I have a few different electrics, but yeah, I'm just a huge guitar nerd for sure.
Now I was gonna say, do you have a collection? Do you also have a few up on the wall at the house and things like that?
I don't have enough money to have a collection, but I have more than I need, certainly.
So one day, that's the goal, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If I were to ever have money, it would all be spent on guitars.
I mean, there's worse things that you could spend your money on.
Certainly.
Now, you like you said, you eventually began to the point where you're singing, you're doing a lot of that. Is it true that when you were kind of breaking into the scene down there at Auburn, where you went to school, that you were literally just going up to bars, knocking on doors, saying, "Hey, can I play?" and I'll do it for free?
Well, that was the plan. I had it in my mind. It was so weird, and I think this probably sounds too crazy for people to believe it, but whatever. But I was like, I remember thinking to myself, I was like, next week, this was on like a Thursday night or something. I was like, next week, I'm gonna go to this place called Live Oak. It's still in Auburn. And I was like, I'm just gonna ask them if I can play for like 2 hours, like during dinner time or whatever, and I'll just do it for free. And if they don't like it, then they can tell me not to come back or whatever. Like, I'll just play. I won't even ask for tips, so I can just do it and they see if they like it or not. Well, so that was in my head, and then I was at this other bar, and the guy was like, "Hey, the owner wants to talk to you." And I was like, "Absolutely not. I'm not." I was like 19 or something. I was like, "I'm not going to talk to the owner of the bar. Absolutely not." And he was like, No, like, it's about music, whatever. So I walk in there, and he's like, "Hey, I saw your video. You want to play here on Wednesday?" And I was like, "Yeah. How long is the set?" And he's like, like 9 to 1 or something. It was like a big time slot. And I was like, sure. And I had to go home and in like 3 or 4 days learn like all the top 40 hits, or whatever. I was like learning as many covers as I could learn. But yeah, so the plan was to, I was just going to go there and ask places like, "Yo, I'll play for free." Because in my head, I was like, if they'll just let me play there, I bet they'll ask me to come back, I don't know.
So you were confident. You were confident.
Well, I just figured, my friends would come. And so that's kind of what happened. I played at this place called Bourbon Street, which is like ended up being like the whole basis of the start, because that guy, his name's Ryan Knoll, he let us play there. And it was like a ton of kids in there. It was all my friends, probably just more so interested in like, our friends going to get up there and play? Like, I don't think they really knew that I actually could play a little bit, I think it's more for shock value, maybe. But they all showed up, and then it just got bigger and bigger. But yeah, that was the whole plan. Then I didn't have to do it, which, thank the good Lord.
It worked out. The plan came to fruition a different way, but it's still a plan.
That's right. It never looks how you think it's going to look.
Now, where did your love of music come from? I mean, did you always kind of grow up just around music or family? Where did that love of music come from?
Well, I'm really the only musician in my whole family that I know of. But my dad is a super big fan, like, the list goes on and on. But he's a super big music fan. It doesn't really matter what genre, anything. Just like diving in. I remember him just watching a ton of documentaries and stuff on different bands. And then my mom really enjoys music, but not, on as deep of a level as he does. But so they were super interested. But I mean, I don't know. I just felt like I always had an attraction to it. It was like I was born like that. Like I remember being like a small kid and like barely being able to hold a guitar and thinking like, I'm Johnny Cash. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was just like nobody had to make me interested. I was just like, that's awesome immediately.
Well, and then I'm guessing obviously country was something you grew up on, but you know, I'm going to date myself. But did the iPod, if you hit shuffle, it was like any genre coming through, all the big names, all the hits from no matter what genre?
Well, I wouldn't really say I was too big of a country fan until I was probably like 16. I mean, definitely definitely listened to country and heard country and enjoyed it, but like I didn't really like dive into it for myself until I was in my truck driving around for real. But really, like I remember hearing like the Eric Church Carolina record, and I was like, whoa, like what is this stuff, you know? So yeah, I didn't really listen to country until then, but it was like, I don't know, I've always been really just guitar oriented. So like a lot of rock stuff, big like John Mayer fan. Like that was like ruling my world for a while when I was, you know, a young guy. But it's just been a lot of different things, but mostly just things that are guitar oriented. Honestly, whatever that might be, which usually ends up being a lot of rock stuff, alternative music, whatever. Or, I mean, country has so much great guitar playing. I think that's why I love it too. Stuff that's bluesy and whatnot.
I was gonna say a little southern rock mix in there. It's definitely a big influence these days.
My dad's a huge Skynyrd fan. Like that's like the first music I remember hearing. It's like swamp music, Leonard Skynyrd. It's like that stuff has been a huge influence, and like that's a lot of what I'm trying to do now. That I've kind of like re-geared, or not really re-geared, but just like figured out what I want to do. You know, this is the first full project, so a lot of I feel like this is truly like the music that I grew up listening to, you know?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you grew up in a small town in Alabama. I mean, what kind of impact did that have on the music? Because I'm guessing, like you said, it was Southern rock, Southern everything, right?
I mean, I just don't even know if I would be playing without growing up there, because, I mean, that's like, there's nothing, like, that's what we did. We hung out, like, my parents still do it. Like, I was talking about the video of the baby, like, that friend group hangs out. We play music. My neighbor's dad, growing up, my best friend, his dad's name is Joel, and he would always be playing. We would just be like, this is awesome. You know, he was like the life of the party when he'd be playing. Like, we were like, I was just thinking to myself, like, man, he has everybody's attention in this room. Like, everybody thinks he's the coolest guy, you know, or at least I always did. But yeah, man, I think that has such an impact, because you're like, what are we going to do tonight? Well, I guess we'll all sit around and drink beer and make Reid play guitar. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, that has such an impact.
Well, I mean, have times changed that much? I mean,
the same town as it used to be, I guess. I mean, growing up for a while there, you couldn't even buy alcohol there, but that's changed. You can now, so that you don't got to drive to the next county line over.
Well, and now you're playing a little bit bigger shows. I enjoyed the video of that you posted of you telling your dad that you were going to play some shows with John Party.
He was loving that. I mean, we've been big John Party fans for a while. So that was like a huge moment. I mean, hell, half the songs we cover when we were playing like college sets were like John Party songs. So we were so pumped about it, and I knew he would. That's why we were videoing. I mean, I literally told my girlfriend, I was like, video this, because he's gonna say something crazy, and he was fired up.
Well, I mean, it's a big deal.
He's a huge John Party fan, but a much bigger Reid Haughton fan. So he was really happy, maybe more than me even.
Well, and what's it like getting to go out and, you know, do shows like that and even go on tour? I mean, I know you kind of did a little run here recently with a Kentucky boy and Tyler Booth.
Yeah, I mean, the shows are where it's at for me. Like, that's my whole interest. Like I said, like, I just wanted to play guitar, so therefore, like, I just want to play the music, you know? Just trying to get out there and put me on a stage somewhere. I don't really care, as long as there's people there, you know? But the touring's great. It makes it all worthwhile. And playing like a show as big as we did with John Party is like definitely makes the lows worth it, because it's definitely a roller coaster. You know, not every day is an arena. Like there's, you know, a lot of shows where there's not that many people showing up. because it's, we're at that stage, we're grinding it out. Which, I mean, I'm happy to be here. This is the most fun you'll have, I think. That's what a lot of people say. Once you get to the top, you're just hanging on. So I'm enjoying the ride.
Well, and I was gonna say, I mean, being able to put out music and some really good music at that. How cool is it when it's one thing to play covers and have people enjoy hearing you sing and stuff like that, but when they come and hear you sing and they're singing your songs and things like that, or they're at least starting to recognize your songs, how cool is that?
That's what's really crazy. I mean, so we just played a show in Auburn on this past Thursday, and like, I mean, obviously since that's where we started, like, that's one of the main places that we'll see that, because 90% of the places we're playing in, we played there once or twice or something, but like, come back to Auburn and they sing and it's mind blowing. I mean, every time, I think, if you saw it a million times, you would still think it was crazy. So I mean, you just try to stand out there on the edge of the stage and take it in. It's unlike any other feeling you could have. It's awesome. Makes it all worth it.
Well, and you've got 2 new singles, like I said at the top, that you put out. The first was "Day You Don't," which is a kind of a fun, upbeat song, a little play on words there, things like that. Can you talk a little bit about how that one came to be?
Yeah, so we were writing with Rivers Rutherford, who's like a great Nashville writer. He wrote some big hits. Ain't Nothing About You, Brooks and Dunn, if I'm correct, and like he wrote The Highwaymen. He's written some crazy stuff. Ben Foster and Joy Beth Taylor, who are, I guess, a little bit older than me, or maybe my age. They're incredible songwriters. And we just like came in there, and I want to say I had the title or some variation of it, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think Rivers really is what brought the groove to that whole thing, and I just latched onto it. I was like, whatever that is, like, let's do it. And he was kind of unsure about it. He was like, you sure? You like this? He was like, this is kind of like an old thing. I was like, yeah, I love it. So we really just had to encourage Rivers to be Rivers. And then those two were doing their thing, but it kind of just shook out. I remember it was a great day. It was pretty painless.
And to kind of put that out as, the first song of the year, why that one, and what made that one stand out to you?
I mean, I just felt like it was a good transition to this new sound. It was like not the most extreme one, but not too mild. It was just a good bridge to show people like, hey, something else is about to come out. Like a new thing's coming. It just felt like the one. I don't know. We just knew. Part of it too was that one and one more that's going to come out later were written like really close together, and that's kind of like when I came to the team and was like, yo, here's a thing. Like, I don't know what this is. Like, this is straight from my head. Like, this is who I am, and let's build around this. And they were like all in, because they obviously had said like, yo, we love these songs. And then I was like, yeah, I think this is a thing that lives together. And so let's kind of build around it. I'd been looking for some songs like that, but really didn't know how to make it happen. And it finally shook out. So, I don't know. It was just kind of like a all at once thing. And now it seems to be like it gets easier to do. It's because you're just being more yourself,
You kind of broke through with the, maybe not writer's block, but the song block or whatever it was.
I think you have to write a lot of songs to figure out who you are, Sometimes you have to say what you think you want to say a lot before what really is on your mind comes out,
Now, what was on your mind when you decided to put out She Is? Because that's definitely more personal, a little more stripped down than Day You Don't.
Right. Well, I'll say that part of putting She Is out when it came out had to do with, obviously, with the success it was having on social media. We wanted to, if the people wanted it now, let's put it out, which we'd already recorded it. It was coming out regardless, but just so happened that they blew it up before we had planned on putting it out. But, She Is was a song we always knew we were going to put out. I mean, I wrote it in 2020, and I was like, on that day, I was like, we're going to put this song out. I just don't know when. But we pitched, my publishing people at River House, they pitched it around to so many people, like a bunch of major artists, because they were like, this thing's a hit, you know. And for whatever, I mean, it's just Nashville. There's a million good songs, you know. There's so many songs that will never get cut, but for whatever reason, nobody cut it. And from then till now, and we were just like, this is the first record. Like, it's not time to hold anything back. Like, let's go. Like, let's put the songs we believe in on there. So, and it was, you know, it just always was a song. It was a no-brainer for me from the start. I mean, the day we wrote it, I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, let's go to the studio.
Now that song does have a little personal touch too. Am I right on that?
Certainly.
And you know, when you're doing a song like that that's a little more personal, is it weird to get in that frame of mind, or is it kind of like you said on with Day You Don't and things like that, that it's just more you and it feels natural?
No, I mean, I think it is. I think everything's personal to some extent, you know. I mean, like, Day You Don't is not a situation I'm living right now, but it's just one that I have lived before, you know. She is, you know, I feel like it's just so many people's, like, story, kind of, you know. It's just felt like a universal thing. Like, me and the co-writers, I wrote it with John Morgan and Bryce Mauden, and we were just like, it felt so natural because we were just talking about, like, they both have girlfriends as well. And John's married to what was his girlfriend at the time, I guess. But yeah, we were just talking about, like, the things that we loved about them and keeping it simple and real, you know. And that's what shook out.
I was gonna say, you know, when you're coming up with ideas, what is that writing process like? Is it sometimes the title, sometimes a chorus, sometimes just maybe a line here or there that is stuck with you, and you're able to, once the room is just right, it comes together?
Yeah, it's always different, you know. There is a formula and there isn't at the same time. It's different for person to person. For me, I mean, I write a lot directed at a title because that's just kind of like a Nashville thing, I guess. That's probably how I grew to do that. But primarily, I write focused towards the guitar. Like, I like to have something that makes me feel something different, some sort of riff or progression or something that sparks this song, you know, this feel goes with this title. That's kind of how I like to think about things. But it's different for everyone, for sure. I mean, I bet everyone in town would tell you something different.
Well, and I think everyone's also said if you can find the magic formula every time, bottle it up and sell it, because it's not like it's a perfect formula.
Yeah, you never know. Like, some days you just have it. I mean, yesterday I wrote a song and, like, I was sitting here, you know, in the mornings I like to play through stuff just to get loose and see if anything sparks. And it was like, boom. I was like, there's a thing, and there's the title. I walked in there and I was like, here we go. And they were all like, yeah. And it was boom, 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 straight to the bottom, you know, which is like, you get one of those out of every 50 days or something. You know, but those are
that's a good day. That's a good day.
Yeah, those are great. But also, like, the day that takes 4 hours on the first day, 5 hours, and then you have to come back a second day and for 3 more hours, like, those are awesome too. I mean, there's no formula. That just goes to show I mean, anything could happen. Like, playing the lottery every day.
And sometimes you're a little luckier than others, right?
Exactly right.
Now, you've mentioned, you know, you've put out two songs, you know, 2 singles already this year. You got another one probably on the way. So I'm guessing that's leading to more new songs, maybe album, maybe EP. What can you tell me that won't get you in trouble with anyone?
Oh, I don't think anything will get me in trouble. We got an EP coming. I think it'll be out maybe by, like, the summer. I'm not sure what the dates are because, like, they've kind of been moving stuff around because, like, came out quicker than we thought. So they've, like, moved it up. So, but yeah, I think we're just kind of, it's some singles, you know. I don't know how many. I know we cut 7 songs for the first half, but and then all I know after that is that we have a listening meeting tomorrow to talk about the back half. So we'll see what gets done.
I like it.
Or how many more, I don't know. But I know that there's definitely 2 or 3 that got to get cut.
I like it. A good tease. Wanting more, no doubt. Like, Obviously, when you're kind of in, your career arc as you're building and so forth, you've put out some songs back in like 18, 19. Is it hard to be patient and not always put stuff out and just kind of play stuff and see what works, or how does that work for you? And I mean, is it a patience thing, or is it just kind of how it is? It is what it is.
It is patience, but it's like you just have to let go of it, especially like when you have a team. You have to trust them. Like, that's what you have them for. If you don't trust them, just go independent, and because you're basically saying you know better than them. My theory has been like, they don't mess with me about making the music, so I'm not messing with them about putting it out. Like that's their job. They're good at that, and I make music, so I just come to them and say, here's the songs, and they say, we'll take these are awesome, what do you think? And I'm like, yeah, I thought the same thing. And then boom, I say, y'all run with it. I don't know, I don't want to mess with them about that at all.
I was gonna say, I mean, what is it like to have like River House, which Luke Combs' home and things like that, to be part of that and have that ability to have some confidence in knowing what's going on and trusting those folks? It's
so good, man. I mean, I'm not sure what it's like anywhere else. I always say, like, I only know my experience. But dude, it's awesome. Like I was saying, it's so much like creative freedom. Like when I started talking about this new thing that I was working up in my head, they were like, yeah, like all in, whatever you want to do. Like, how can we help? It's all, how can we help every time? There's never any questions of like, why are you doing this or whatever. It's always great. Who do you want to write with? Who do you want to produce it? Everything has been, it's a dream world basically. And it's an amazing place too. Like as far as the building goes, we have a studio, great writer's room, the whole 9 yards. It's amazing. I love everybody who works there. It's a big old family.
Well, and it's definitely led to some good music. Like I said, I really love Day You Don't. I love playing that in the car. She is also a great song as well, and one that I can see why everyone said it was a good one and they wanted to pitch it around. But what else can folks expect from you here in 2023? I know you kind of mentioned some more new music. Anything else?
I mean, we're on the road too. Like I think today we just announced a bunch of tin roof shows. So we're doing a bunch of full band shows in some places that I've never got to play full band, because like a whole bunch of the stuff that I've opened up for has been acoustic, which is great. But especially with the new music, it translates really well to the band. So I'm excited to bring that, a bunch of places that we haven't been. It'll be awesome. I think we're playing even as far up north as Detroit, and then all the way down to like Orlando. So we'll cover a good stretch, and I'm like I said, I just love the road. I'm excited to be back out there. And then the music.
Well, it's
more important.
I was gonna say, your music, I can tell, definitely can translate into a good show, because sometimes you got to worry. Sometimes things, you hear it on the track and you're like, oh yeah, I love that. And then you go to the show and you're like, uh-oh. But I feel like with you being the guitar guy driven that way, it's going to be a good show.
And that's what, largely the thought when we were going to the studio with this was, let's make it feel like a band's playing. Let's make it feel like humans are playing it. I mean, one of the songs we cut, I think the next song we're releasing, actually, it's called Can't Please 'Em All, which I guess I can tell you that. Whatever, who cares? Like when we recorded that song, like there wasn't even a click track, like a metronome, It was like we recorded it, and the guy running the session was like, hey, like we got to run that again. Like I didn't even have the timing right, and my producer Sadler was like, nope. He was like, that's good how it is, like run it. So, we just wanted to keep it loose, make it feel human. Like, that's what it's all about. Like, music has to breathe. I wanted it to feel, like it grows and is a thing live. You can feel it.
Well, I can't wait to see what you've got coming up, because, like I said, I've really enjoyed the songs that you've been putting out, and your social media is fun as well to see your fun life and your family, and who knows, maybe a few more baby videos of the series continues.
I'm gonna have to get some more of those for sure.
Well, Reid, I appreciate you sharing a drink with me and talking some music, and this was fun, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate it.
Find more from Hops and Spirits at hopspirits.com.
Thank everybody. Bye.